You guys, stop scrolling. Sit down. Because what just leaked out of that New England Patriots locker room is not a rumor, it is not a Twitter fingers fairy tale, it is not some bored blogger trying to farm clicks before the season ends. This is an actual audio file, an actual recording, an actual conversation between actual grown men wearing actual Patriots jerseys. And the name being screamed inside that audio is not the coach, not the quarterback, not the owner. The name being screamed inside that audio is Cardi B. Yes, Cardi B. The Bronx rapper, the woman who has nothing to do with football, nothing to do with route trees, nothing to do with snap counts, nothing to do with practice film. Cardi B. And the audio claims, in the rawest, ugliest, most unfiltered locker room language imaginable, that Cardi B is the reason Stefon Diggs just got dumped by an entire NFL franchise after one single season. 1 season. 12 months. Half a contract. Gone. And before anyone in the comments tries to type, "Stop reaching," let me tell you something. The Patriots do not release a top 15 receiver in the middle of a Super Bowl chase because they are bored. The Patriots do not eat almost $10 million in dead cap, in cold cash, in real money the front office has to explain to the owner because Stefon Diggs ran a bad slant route. Nobody eats $10 million over slant routes. Nobody. So when the official press release drops and it says, "moving in a different direction" in that flat corporate font, every single person who has ever worked anywhere near a professional locker room understands that the real reason is buried somewhere underneath that sentence. And tonight, I'm going to dig it up, bone by bone. Here is what you need to understand first, because the timeline is the entire story. The Patriots did not draft Stefon Diggs. The Patriots traded for Stefon Diggs. The Patriots paid Stefon Diggs. The Patriots built an offense around Stefon Diggs. The Patriots told Drake May, the franchise quarterback, the kid the city has been waiting on for a generation, that Stefon Diggs would be the safety net, the security blanket, the chain mover, the veteran voice in a young receiver room. And then, almost overnight, almost without warning, almost as if a switch got flipped somewhere deep inside Foxborough, the Patriots flipped the entire script. The Patriots called Stefon Diggs into a meeting. The Patriots handed Stefon Diggs the papers. The Patriots told Stefon Diggs, in so many words, that the locker room could not survive another week of whatever was going on between Stefon Diggs and Cardi B. And that is the part that has the entire NFL whispering tonight, not the release. The release happens every March. Veterans get cut every March. Big names get cut every March. But the reason is what makes this one different. Because the reason, according to the leaked audio that has been circulating in private group chats for the past 48 hours before it hit the public timeline, has nothing to do with football and everything to do with the woman waiting on the other side of that locker room door. Let me walk you through the audio. Slowly, carefully, because I have heard the clip. I have heard it more times than I am comfortable admitting. And every single time, a different detail jumps out. The first voice on the recording is muffled, distant, the kind of voice that belongs to someone walking past a phone left face up on a bench. The second voice is closer, sharper, and the second voice is the one doing the damage. The second voice says, and I will paraphrase carefully because the actual language is not the kind of language you say out loud on a platform that has advertisers. The second voice says that Stefon Diggs has not been the same player since Cardi B walked into the picture. The second voice says that Stefon Diggs spent more time on the phone last season than in the film room. The second voice says that Stefon Diggs was missing meetings, late to walkthroughs, distracted in huddles, and that every single time it happened, every single time, the trail led back to Cardi B. And then there's a pause. A long pause. The kind of pause that tells you something heavier is coming. And then the voice says the line that broke the internet open this week. The voice says that Cardi B was, quote, in the building, end quote, on at least 2 separate occasions when Cardi B was not supposed to be in the building. The voice says that on one of those occasions, an argument spilled out of a back hallway and into the edge of the locker room, and that Stefon Diggs was the one trying to calm Cardi B down while teammates pretended not to hear. The voice does not give a date. The voice does not give a specific game. But the voice gives enough detail, enough geography, enough small specifics about doors and hallways and which side of the facility, that anyone who has ever set foot inside Gillette Stadium can picture the exact spot. And that right there is the moment the audio stops being a rumor and starts being a problem. Because if even half of what the voice describes actually happened, the Patriots had no choice. The Patriots are a franchise built on one word: discipline. 6 Super Bowls of discipline. 2 decades of discipline. A culture that buries personality under uniform. And nothing, absolutely nothing, threatens that culture faster than a celebrity girlfriend appearing in a hallway during the season. Now rewind. Because the timeline only makes sense if you stack it side by side. Stefon Diggs and Cardi B go public last summer. Cardi B is on the field after the AFC Championship. Cardi B is in the stands at the Super Bowl. The Patriots lose the Super Bowl. Within hours of that final whistle, Stefon Diggs and Cardi B unfollow each other on Instagram. Within days, Cardi B is on stage telling a crowd that Cardi B is too sexy to be lonely. Within weeks, Stefon Diggs is reportedly facing a legal situation that nobody in New England wants to discuss on the record. And then, right when free agency opens, right when every other team is signing receivers, right when Stefon Diggs should be the centerpiece of the Patriots offseason, the Patriots release Stefon Diggs. None of that is coincidence. None of that is bad luck. None of that is the football gods being cruel. That is a pattern. And patterns do not happen by accident. Patterns happen because somebody, somewhere, made a decision, and once that decision got made, every single domino lined up behind it started to fall. The leaked audio is just the last domino. The audio is just the moment the rest of the world finally gets to see what the people inside the building have already known for months. And here is where the story gets uncomfortable. Because the audio does not blame the football. The audio does not blame the ACL. The audio does not blame the offensive scheme, or the play caller, or the quarterback. The audio blames the relationship. The audio blames Cardi B. And once that blame gets spoken out loud, once that blame escapes a locker room and lands on the public internet, there is no putting it back. Cardi B becomes the villain in the Patriots story whether Cardi B deserves the title or not. And the football world, which has been waiting for a reason to talk about this couple all year, finally has the excuse the football world has been waiting for. But let me say something, and let me say it clearly, so nobody in the comments tries to twist the words later. Cardi B did not run a route. Cardi B did not drop a pass. Cardi B did not blow a coverage. The job of catching footballs on Sundays does not belong to Cardi B. The job belongs to Stefon Diggs. Always. Every snap. Every down. And the second a grown professional athlete starts blaming a girlfriend, a wife, a partner, a situation, for the way the career is unraveling, that grown professional athlete is already telling on the grown professional athlete. The leaked audio may put the spotlight on Cardi B, but the spotlight is shining on the wrong person. Cardi B is the topic. Stefon Diggs is the subject. Big difference. Now here is the unique angle. The angle nobody else covering the story has touched. Every single take floating around the internet right now is focused on the breakup, the audio, the drama, the relationship. Everybody is staring at the front of the house. Nobody is looking at the back. And the back is where the real story lives. Because if you actually listen to the leaked audio carefully, like really carefully, like headphones on, traffic noise off carefully, there is a third voice. A quieter voice. A voice that almost gets swallowed by the other two. And that third voice says one sentence that nobody on the timeline is repeating. The third voice says, "It was never just Cardi. It was never just Cardi." That sentence changes everything. Because if it was never just Cardi B, then the locker room audio is not really about Cardi B at all. The locker room audio is about something else, something bigger, something the Patriots have been quietly managing all season, and Cardi B is just the safest, loudest, most marketable name to attach the blame to in public. Cardi B is the scapegoat. Cardi B is the headline. Cardi B is the story the franchise is happy to let the world chase, because while the world chases Cardi B, the world is not chasing whatever the other thing is. And that is the part of the story that is going to outlast every TikTok edit, every reaction video, every shouting head debate show segment. The Cardi B angle is the appetizer. The real meal is hiding underneath. Let me explain how a locker room actually works, because most people on the internet have never set foot inside one and have no idea how fragile the ecosystem is. A locker room is not a clubhouse. A locker room is not a hangout. A locker room is a workplace where 53 grown men, plus the practice squad, plus the trainers, plus the equipment staff, plus the coaches, plus the analytics interns, plus the security personnel, all have to function inside the same 120 feet of carpet for 6 months straight. And the second one player becomes a distraction. The second one player drags a personal life through the front door. The second one player turns the workplace into a tabloid. The entire ecosystem starts cracking from the inside. Coaches notice. Veterans notice. Rookies notice. Front office notices. And once the front office notices, the clock starts ticking. The Patriots' clock on Stefon Diggs started ticking the moment Cardi B showed up at that AFC Championship game and grabbed a post-game microphone. Not because Cardi B did anything wrong on the field. Cardi B was a guest. Cardi B was supportive. Cardi B was, frankly, the most charismatic thing on the broadcast that night. But charisma in a Patriots locker room is a currency, and a girlfriend cannot spend the player's currency without the player going broke. Every minute Cardi B was on camera, Stefon Diggs was paying. Every interview Cardi B gave, Stefon Diggs was paying. Every social post Cardi B made, Stefon Diggs was paying. And by the time the Super Bowl ended and the unfollowing started, the bill had already come due. The release in March was not the punishment. The release in March was the receipt. And we cannot keep dancing around the legal situation. So let me say it plainly. Stefon Diggs is also reportedly facing a felony case that nobody in the front office wants in the building, in the parking lot, or anywhere within 5 zip codes of the team plane. The leaked audio mentions the case exactly twice. Once early, in passing, almost like a footnote. And once near the end, in a sentence that gets cut off mid-word. That cutoff matters. Because in the world of leaked audio, the cutoffs are always the most important part. The cutoffs are where the speaker realized the phone might be on. The cutoffs are where the speaker swallowed the rest of the sentence. The cutoffs are where the truth was about to leak before the truth caught itself. What you can hear before the cut is this. The voice says that the legal situation, combined with the relationship situation, combined with the social media situation, made Stefon Diggs, quote, untradeable in a locker room sense, end quote. Untradeable in a locker room sense. Read that again. Not untradeable on paper. Not untradeable in cap space. Untradeable in a locker room sense. Meaning, the Patriots could not find another team that wanted to inherit the noise. So instead of trading Stefon Diggs and recouping value, the Patriots just released Stefon Diggs and ate the cap hit. That is a financial decision no franchise ever makes unless the noise is louder than the money. And right now, in 2026, the noise around Stefon Diggs is deafening. Now let me flip the camera. Because half the story is being told from inside the locker room, but the other half is being told from inside a recording studio. Cardi B has spent the past several months on a comeback tour. Cardi B has been releasing music, doing interviews, dropping snippets, hinting at lyrics, posting videos that are either subliminal shots or simply Cardi B being Cardi B. And every time Cardi B touches a microphone in 2026, the entire internet starts parsing the syllables for clues about Stefon Diggs. That is not Cardi B's burden to carry. That is the audience's obsession to manage. But the obsession is real, and the obsession is going to get louder now that this audio is out. What Cardi B has said publicly, on the record, in interviews and on stage, is that Cardi B is focused on Cardi B's children, Cardi B's career, and Cardi B's peace. 3 things. Children, career, peace. None of those 3 things include the New England Patriots. None of those 3 things include showing up unannounced at a football facility. None of those 3 things include orchestrating the release of a wide receiver. And anyone who actually listens to what Cardi B has said over the past calendar year knows that Cardi B has been begging, almost pleading, for the audience to let Cardi B move forward. The audience refused. The audience always refuses. And now the audience has a new excuse to drag Cardi B back into a story Cardi B walked out of months ago. But here is the detail that makes me sit straight up in my chair. The first voice in the leaked audio, the muffled one, the distant one, the one most people are dismissing because it is hard to hear. That voice is, according to multiple people who have already identified it in private chats, a teammate. A teammate who has played alongside Stefon Diggs since Stefon Diggs walked into the building last summer. A teammate who, on paper, is supposed to be in Stefon Diggs' corner. And that teammate, in the audio, is not in Stefon Diggs' corner. That teammate is the one who lit the fuse. That teammate is the one who started the conversation. That teammate is the one who said the first sentence about Cardi B, which means somebody Stefon Diggs trusts, somebody Stefon Diggs shared a locker with, somebody Stefon Diggs ate team breakfast with for an entire season, decided to throw Stefon Diggs under a moving bus in front of an open microphone. That is the cruelest part of the story. Not the release. Not the audio. Not the breakup. The betrayal. Because Stefon Diggs did not just lose a job. Stefon Diggs lost a locker room. Stefon Diggs lost the people who were supposed to have Stefon Diggs' back. And once a locker room turns on a player, even if the audio gets deleted, even if the rumor gets denied, Even if the team puts out a statement saying everything is fine, the damage is permanent. The next team that signs Stefon Diggs is going to play that audio in the war room before the contract gets stamped. The next coach who calls Stefon Diggs is going to ask about Cardi B before the first practice rep gets drawn up. And every single locker room in the league, from now until the day Stefon Diggs retires, is going to look at Stefon Diggs and remember the day a teammate sold Stefon Diggs out over a girlfriend. Watch what happens next. Because the next 48 hours are going to be the most important 48 hours of Stefon Diggs' entire career. The Patriots will issue the standard release statement, the one with all the corporate language and none of the truth. The agent for Stefon Diggs will issue a counter-statement, the one with all the gratitude and none of the answers. ESPN will run a hot take segment. First Take will run a hotter take segment. The Pat McAfee Show will pretend to be neutral while picking a side. Shannon Sharpe will tell the actual truth, because Shannon Sharpe is the only one in sports media who still tells the actual truth on television. And then, after all of that noise, the silence will arrive. The silence is what you should pay attention to. The silence is when the real moves get made. The silence is when the next contract gets negotiated, the next team gets contacted, the next chapter gets quietly written behind closed doors while everyone else is still arguing about the leaked audio. And Cardi B, watch Cardi B carefully too. Because Cardi B is not the type to absorb a public attack without responding. Cardi B has built an entire career on responding. Cardi B has built an entire empire on saying out loud the things other celebrities are too coached to say. So if the audio keeps spreading, if the rumor keeps building, if the blame keeps landing on Cardi B is going to talk. And when Cardi B talks, Cardi B does not talk in subtweets. Cardi B does not talk in code. Cardi B talks in fully captioned videos with the receipts in the description. The next time Cardi B picks up that phone and hits record, the entire balance of the story is going to flip. The locker room will become the defendant. Cardi B will become the prosecutor. And the leaked audio will look like a child's toy compared to whatever Cardi B has saved in Cardi B's camera roll. And then there are the fans. Because we cannot pretend the fans are passive in the story. The Patriots fan base spent all of 2025 trying to figure out how to feel about Cardi B. Half the fan base loved Cardi B because Cardi B brought energy, joy, attention, life, color, music, fashion into a franchise that had been gray for too long. The other half of the fan base hated Cardi B because Cardi B was, in their mind, a distraction from the football. And those two halves have been at war on Patriots Twitter, Patriots Reddit, Patriots TikTok, Patriots message boards, since the day Stefon Diggs and Cardi B first walked a red carpet together. The leaked audio is going to end that war. One side is going to scream, "I told you so," until the screaming becomes a Twitter trend. The other side is going to scream, "Weaponize misogyny," until the screaming becomes a different Twitter trend. And somewhere in the middle, Stefon Diggs and Cardi B are going to be ground into powder by an internet that does not care about either one as a human being. The internet only cares about the content. And right now, the content is endless. The smart thing for both Stefon Diggs and Cardi B to do is silence. Total silence. Not a tweet. Not a post. Not a story. Not a podcast appearance. Not a press release. Silence. Because every single word said in public this week is going to be twisted, looped, edited, stitched, reposted, screenshotted, and used as ammunition by people who do not know either of them in real life. But silence is hard. Silence is expensive. Silence is the one thing celebrities are not trained to do. So the chances of silence actually happening on either side are roughly zero. Which is why this story is not going away anytime soon. Which is why the story is going to bleed into the rest of the off-season. Which is why the story is going to chase Stefon Diggs into the next training camp, the next jersey, the next city. Step back for a second. Because the leaked audio is not just a story about one player and one rapper. The leaked audio is a story about a league. The leaked audio is a story about a culture. The NFL has been quietly terrified of the influencer-athlete relationship era for years now. Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift broke the seal. The league watched in real time as a tight end's love life became more talked about than the games themselves. The league pretended to enjoy the ratings boost. The league privately panicked at the loss of control. And ever since that moment, every front office in the league has been asking the same quiet question. What happens when the celebrity relationship goes wrong? What happens when the breakup goes public? What happens when a locker room becomes a soap opera? The Stefon Diggs situation is the answer to that question. The Stefon Diggs situation is the cautionary tale every general manager is going to point to from now until the next collective bargaining agreement. And that is why the audio leak matters. Because the audio leak is not just one player getting cut. The audio leak is a warning shot. The audio leak is the league quietly telling every other player, in every other locker room, that bringing a celebrity into the building has consequences. That bringing a rapper to the sideline has consequences. That bringing the tabloid machine into a workplace built on discipline has consequences. Stefon Diggs is the example. Cardi B is the headline. Every player watching tonight is the audience. And the message is loud, clear, and impossible to misread. Pick the football or pick the fame. The league does not want both anymore. But Cardi B is not done. That is the part the league forgot to factor in. Cardi B is not the kind of celebrity who gets erased by a leaked locker room recording. Cardi B has survived bigger storms. Cardi B survived the offset cycle. Cardi B survived the public custody negotiations. Cardi B survived the gambling rumors. Cardi B survived the tour drama. Cardi B survived the album delays. Cardi B has been the main character in a public soap opera for almost a decade, and every single attempt to write Cardi B off the show has failed. Catastrophically failed. So if the New England Patriots think the leaked audio is going to bury Cardi B in the news cycle for more than 72 hours, the New England Patriots have not been paying attention to who Cardi B actually is. Cardi B is going to respond. Cardi B is going to respond loud. Cardi B is going to respond on Cardi B's own platforms, on Cardi B's own timeline, in Cardi B's own voice, and the response is going to make the leaked audio sound like a phone left in a coat pocket. Because Cardi B knows where the bodies are buried. Cardi B knows the names. Cardi B knows the dates. Cardi B knows the back hallways, the after parties, the text messages, the favors, the lies, the apologies, the receipts that never made it into a single tabloid story because Cardi B has been holding them. And the day Cardi B decides to stop holding them, the entire Patriots locker room is going to wish the audio leak had never happened. That day might be tomorrow. That day might be next week. That day is coming. Mark it on the calendar. And in the middle of all this noise, in the middle of the audio and the breakups and the unfollows and the released receipts and the canceled contracts, there is a quieter story that almost nobody is telling. The story of a man and a woman who try to do something almost impossible. A man and a woman who tried to be in love in public in 2026, in front of millions of cameras, while one of them played a violent sport for a living and the other one wrote songs for a living. And both of them carried scars that nobody in the comments has ever had to carry. Stefon Diggs grew up watching a brother die. Stefon Diggs has spoken about it. Stefon Diggs has cried about it. Stefon Diggs has built an entire football career on the back of that grief, and every catch, every touchdown, every yard after the catch has been a tribute to a person Stefon Diggs lost too early. Cardi B grew up in a borough that does not forgive softness. Cardi B has spoken about that too. Cardi B has built an entire music career on the back of survival, on the back of the streets that almost ate Cardi B before the world ever heard the name. Two survivors. Two scars. Two people who found each other in the middle of an industry that does not actually want them to find anybody. And now the industry is doing what the industry always does. The industry is taking the love and grinding the love into content. The industry is taking the relationship and turning the relationship into a headline. The industry is taking the breakup and making the breakup a podcast topic. And the people doing the grinding will move on by next week. The people doing the headlines will write a new one tomorrow. The people doing the podcasts will pivot to the next scandal by Sunday. But Stefon Diggs and Cardi B, the actual human beings, are going to have to wake up the next morning and live inside whatever the wreckage looks like once the cameras finally turn off. That part nobody is talking about. That part is the part that matters. So who leaked the audio? That is the question nobody else on the internet is asking out loud, and that is the question this entire story actually turns on. Because audio does not leak by itself. Audio does not float out of a locker room on its own legs. Somebody somewhere hit record. Somebody somewhere kept the file. Somebody somewhere waited for the right moment. And somebody somewhere hit send. That somebody is the actual main character in this story, and that somebody is wearing a uniform. Maybe a player uniform. Maybe a staff uniform. Maybe a security uniform. But a uniform. Because civilians do not have access to a locker room. Civilians do not have access to that hallway. Civilians do not have access to the conversations being whispered between practice and meetings. Which means the leak is internal. Which means the leak is intentional. which means somebody inside the Patriots organization wanted Stefon Diggs to suffer publicly even after the release was already done. Read that sentence again. Even after the release was already done. The Patriots already moved on. The Patriots already saved the cap space. The Patriots already protected the locker room. There was no business reason to leak the audio after the fact. The audio leak was personal. The audio leak was a final shot. The audio leak was somebody making sure that wherever Stefon Diggs lands next, the leaked audio lands first. That is not a workplace dispute. That is a hit job. And once Stefon Diggs figures out who pulled the trigger, the next phase of this story is going to make the first phase look polite. Let me tell you what is going to happen next, because the pattern always plays out the same way. Phase 1 is the leak. We are in Phase 1 right now. Phase 2 is the denial. The Patriots will issue a denial. The teammate will issue a denial. The team source will be quoted in The Athletic saying that the audio is being mischaracterized. That denial will land Tuesday morning. Phase 3 is the counter-leak. Somebody close to Stefon Diggs, somebody close to Cardi B, somebody who is tired of watching the narrative get controlled by the franchise, will leak something back. A text message, a voicemail, a photo, a video. Something. That counter-leak will arrive by the end of the week. Phase 4 is the new contract. Some team, probably a contender, probably a team that needs a veteran receiver, probably a team with a coach willing to absorb a media circus, will sign Stefon Diggs. That signing will happen within 30 days. Phase 5 is the redemption arc. The first game in the new uniform, Stefon Diggs will catch a touchdown, point at the sky, point at the cameras, point at nobody and everybody at the same time, and the entire internet will pretend the leaked audio never happened. That is the cycle. It always happens. It happens because the cycle makes everybody money. The franchise that released Stefon Diggs gets paid. The franchise that signs Stefon Diggs gets paid. The media that covers Stefon Diggs gets paid. The platforms that host the highlights of Stefon Diggs get paid. The reaction channels that scream about Stefon Diggs get paid. Cardi B, somewhere in the middle, drops a new single and gets paid. Everybody gets paid. Everybody except the locker rooms, the relationships, the families, the actual human beings whose lives become the raw material for the content factory. That is the deal. That is always the deal. That has been the deal since the first camera was pointed at the first famous person and recorded the first private moment. The deal does not change. The deal only gets faster, louder, hungrier. Now let me get into the receipts that are floating around tonight, because I want to be careful with what is confirmed and what is rumor. Confirmed on the record by the Patriots organization itself, Stefon Diggs has been released. Confirmed on the record by multiple major outlets, the release carried a significant dead cap penalty. Confirmed on the record by Stefon Diggs' own Instagram, Stefon Diggs has addressed the release with a short statement thanking the organization. Confirmed on the record by Cardi B's own concert footage, Cardi B and Stefon Diggs are no longer publicly together. Those are the bricks. Everything between the bricks is the rumor mortar that the internet is pouring tonight. The locker room audio, as of this video, has not been confirmed by the Patriots, has not been confirmed by Stefon Diggs, has not been confirmed by Cardi B, has not been confirmed by any major outlet with a verified byline. The audio exists. The audio is circulating. The audio is being shared in private chats and reposted in pieces on platforms that make plausible deniability easy. But the audio has not been authenticated by anyone in a position to authenticate it. That matters. That matters because if the audio gets debunked, the entire narrative collapses, and the people pushing the narrative are going to look like the people who pushed every previous fake locker room story. And if the audio gets confirmed, the entire NFL is going to have a public conversation about workplace recordings, consent, and the First Amendment that the NFL has spent the past decade trying to avoid having. Either way, the audio is a problem. Either way, the audio is the story. Either way, the audio is not going away until somebody, somewhere, sits down in front of a camera and answers the questions everyone is asking. So here is what I want you to do. I want you to sit with this. I want you to think about it. I want you to ask yourself the questions the talking heads are not going to ask on television tomorrow morning. Ask yourself why a Super Bowl franchise would eat $10 million to remove a player the franchise just traded for. Ask yourself why a teammate would record a conversation about Cardi B and let the recording escape. Ask yourself why the entire timeline, from Cardi B at the AFC Championship to the unfollow at the Super Bowl to the release in March, lines up so cleanly that no honest person can call it coincidence. Ask yourself who benefits from the leak. Ask yourself who is silent right now. Ask yourself who is loud. The answers will tell you more than any reporter ever will, because the reporters are reporting what the franchises let them report. The truth is in the gaps. The truth is in the timing. The truth is in the silence between the official statements. And one more thing. Do not let the algorithm convince you that this is about Cardi B. Cardi B is a human being. Cardi B is a mother. Cardi B is a musician. Cardi B did not draft the contract, did not sign the trade, did not play a snap, and did not cut Stefon Diggs from the team. The decision to release Stefon Diggs was made by the New England Patriots organization in a New England Patriots conference room by New England Patriots employees for New England Patriots reasons. Cardi B is the reason the story is going viral. Cardi B is not the reason the story exists. Those are two different sentences. Read them again until the difference clicks. I have been doing this long enough to know how this ends. The audio will keep spreading. The reaction videos will keep multiplying. The takes will keep getting hotter, dumber, louder. Somebody, probably Cardi B, will eventually post a video that makes the entire conversation pivot. Somebody, probably a teammate, will eventually leak a follow-up that makes the original audio look small. Somebody, probably an agent, will eventually announce a new team and a new contract and a new highlight reel. And 6 months from now, when the next training camp opens, the entire story will be a footnote, a meme, a clip on a year-end recap, a line in a podcast intro. The cycle will have moved on. The internet will have moved on. The Patriots will have moved on. And Stefon Diggs and Cardi B, whether together or apart, whether speaking or silent, whether healed or hurting, will have to keep living inside the ruins of the headline long after the headline has been replaced. That is the part one keep coming back to. The headline is temporary. The damage is permanent. The audio is fleeting. The reputation is forever. The Patriots will draft a new receiver in April. Cardi B will release a new song this summer. The internet will find a new scandal by Friday. But somewhere, in a quiet room, in a private moment, Stefon Diggs is going to listen to that audio again. And Cardi B is going to read the comments again. And the comments are going to say things that the comments should never say about another human being. And neither one of them signed up for that part. Neither one of them deserves that part. And neither one of them is going to be able to outrun that part, no matter how fast the next phase of the career moves. So if you are watching this video right now, if you are still here, if you have made it this far through the breakdown, I want you to do one thing for me. Drop the easy take. Drop the lazy joke. Drop the meme caption. Drop the told you so. Sit with the actual story for a second. The story of a player who lost a job. The story of a woman who lost a partner. The story of a franchise that chose silence over honesty. The story of a teammate who chose betrayal over loyalty. The story of an audio file that was never supposed to leave the building. The story of an internet that turned that audio into a circus before anybody involved got to draw a single breath. This is not a Cardi B story. This is not a Stefon Diggs story. This is a story about what happens when fame, football, love, and audio recordings collide inside a single calendar year. And the lesson hidden inside that story is bigger than the names on the jerseys. The lesson is that nobody is safe. Not the player. Not the celebrity. Not the franchise. Not the locker room. Not the relationship. Nobody. And as long as the cameras keep rolling and the microphones keep recording, this is going to happen again. To someone else. In another city. With another famous name attached. Probably before the year is over. Bet on it. Now drop a comment. Tell me who you think leaked the audio. Tell me whether you think Cardi B deserves a single word of blame in this entire mess, because the answer is no, but I want to hear the takes. Tell me which team is going to sign Stefon Diggs next, and whether the next coach is going to ask about Cardi B in the very first phone call. Tell me whether the Patriots made the right move, the cold move, the cheap move, or all three at once. And tell me whether you think this story is going to die down by next week, or whether this story is going to follow Stefon Diggs and Cardi B for the rest of the calendar year. I have my prediction. I want to hear yours. Hit the like button if you actually want me to keep digging into this case, because there is more audio that has not surfaced yet, more sources that have not opened up yet, more documents that have not landed yet, and the second any of it drops, I will be the first one back on camera breaking it down. Subscribe so the next update lands in your feed before the rest of the internet finds out. Turn on notifications so the next time the leaked audio gets a sequel, you're the first to hear it. And share this video with the friend who has been wrong about this couple the entire year, because that friend deserves a full receipt drop in the group chat tonight. I will see you on the next one. Stay sharp. Stay loud. Stay watching. Bye. The truth is louder than the silence around it. Stefon Diggs is the subject. Cardi B is the headline. Two different things. The franchise wants this quiet. The intern